Hello friends, I'm making this video because I've seen a lot of Doom posts on the forums, and I also get the question asked a lot on my stream, daily streams by the way, twitch.tv/anboniwow. It's about 10.1 and what do I think about the brand new Shadow Priest rework, because Blizzard, they slapped us with the brand new one, and this got people kind of split into two categories. On one hand, you have people who are straight up traumatized by the 10.0.7 Red Paladin changes, because back then, when Red Paladins were super giga broken on the PTR, everyone was kind of like pulling Father Blizzard by the coat saying, that's going to be a problem. And they didn't touch it. They touched it a tiny bit. But we all know, we all remember Red Paladins came out and the meta kind of like completely shifted into Red Paladin or Red Paladin X. That was like the main comp. People are straight up PTSD'd and they hear Shadow Priest are getting a rework, they think that. On the other hand, you have the people who actually read the changes, and those people are in shock. The Shadow Priest community is shocked. By the way, I waited to make this video until Wednesday. I recorded the same video a few days ago, but then I said, you know what? Surely we're gonna get some changes on Wednesday. And what do we get on Wednesday? We got a possible release candidate for 10.1. So it's probably too late, but I'm here to give you the hope and the cope we need. Now, when it comes to PvE, I'm gonna have to pre-apologize to my Mythic Plus enjoyers, my brothers and sisters on the front line of PvE. I do delve into PvE every once in a while, but I'm no expert. So to me personally, the whole change seems really good in PvE. But before I start complaining too much, I want to take a second and count the W's for Shadow Priest in patch 10.1, because there are some very solid W's, I think. I think actually, before we start, I think the spec is, personally, I think it's in a worst state for PvP, but it's very close to being very fun and also probably good, because right now it sucks. So I'm here on the 10.1 PTR, and let's count the W's. First of all, the tier set. This is objectively the best looking tier set at this patch. Look at it. This is Raid Finder. Maybe my panda is not doing it justice, but this is a very nice set. Priest kind of won the lottery when it comes to good looking sets. This looks really sick. So a big W right there. Now, not only does the set look good, but it's the first time since, I think, Shadowlands, when they added tier sets into the game in PvP. This is the first time that Shadow Priest actually really wants 2 set, but also 4 set. Not only that, I know a lot of casters in particular have a big problem with the actual stat allocation on their PvE set bonuses. It would be ideal if Blizzard would let us basically copy the effect of the set and put it on a PvP item, because some classes have like really bad stat allocations, but they still want the bonus. So it's not really fair when you just get unlucky like that. Like, it's not even luck, it's just how they design it. So Shadow is kind of in a pretty decent spot. It has haste mastery, it has haste mastery again, it has verse mastery here, so a lot of mastery, and you also have crit haste on this. A crit is not great, but you have very low crit, a pretty high haste, so pretty good stat allocation for Shadow. So that's a positive. We take the W. I believe all of these sets are cut in half in PvP, which kind of sucks, but even then it's still good enough that you want this. So increase the chance for Shadow Insight by 25%, and when you consume Shadow Insight, Mind Blast deals 30% increased damage and generates 4 additional insanity. 30% additional damage. That's crazy. Now, if you ever played Shadow Priest before, you're not going to be shocked to find out that Mind Blast hits for absolutely nothing. It hits for 17k now because they actually changed the trinket bonus. This used to be 12k yesterday. This is crazy. The set bonus is now 25% increased main stat. This is their way of offsetting the crit nerf. They nerfed crit in PvP, and I think they said that games kind of tend to get a little damp, so they buffed damage by buffing the trinket set bonus. That is also an indirect Shadow Priest buff, because Shadow was not critting anything. Shadow was, in fact, getting critted hard, getting blasted and bursted. So this is basically kind of elevating Shadow Priest damage a little bit. Everyone's damage gets elevated a little bit, but classes that rely on crit are kind of at the same power level, while I think Shadow gets a little bit higher because of this. But let's get back. Mind Blast, no damage. 17k, 30% more, that's not a big deal. However, Look at this, what we have here. We have Insidious Ire. When you have Shadowward Pain, Devouring Plague, and Vampiric Touch, not only does your Mind Blast do 40% more damage, but also Void Torrent. Okay, get ready for this. You better take a seat, because this is some big damage. This is the only way that Shadow can probably actually kill things on its own. 110,000 Shadow damage. Now, this is a channel, so it gets kicked. However, Precognition is now a gear embellishment that you can craft on your gear. So every caster and every healer is basically gonna have like more guaranteed Precognition. Now, when you get Precognition, as you might know, you get immune to kicked and CC for 15 seconds if you fake a kick. Not 15 seconds, sorry, 5 seconds. And you also get 15% haste. Now, 15% haste from Precog, plus 25% haste from Power Infusion, plus 40% more damage from Insidious Ire. This Void Torrent is gonna do some unreal damage. So let me just show you how much it is without Precog. It's stupid. It's crazy damage. It's good. It's great. I'm going to talk about how Shadow Priest does no damage, but this is the one exception, alright? So I'm going to press Devouring Plague, Power Infusion, and this thing does 266,000 damage now. That is a very high damage. That is very, very large. I don't know if I have details enabled here. I do. That was a 324,000 Void Torrent. Yeah, this is cracked. This was like all CDs, but Void Torrent is a 30-second cooldown. This thing is gonna hit like a truck. And not only does Void Torrent hit like a truck, but the brand new Psychic Link, this is the copium part, by the way, this is the W's. The Psychic Link will convert 40% of all your single target damage to all targets with VT. That means, just like before, Mind Blast, Mind Flame, Mind Spike, imagine playing Mind Spike, but also Void Torrent damage gets split, Shadow Word Death damage gets split, Mind Games damage gets split, and also Devouring Plague damage gets split. So Psychic Link is a huge, I think this is the biggest W we got this entire patch. We basically traded Mindseer for this, which I think even in PvE is a huge win. I hated Mindseer in PvP, and I mean PvP you don't play it, but in PvE it was miserable. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting there spamming Mind Blast, hoping I get a proc. I get a Mindseer proc, I can finally do damage, I start channeling, and guess what? I have to move. If I move, I lose my proc, I lose my damage, I get depression. That was what was happening, and it was really bad. I'm very happy to see Mindseer gone. There's a couple of problems with Mindseer being gone. Mainly, Shadow Priest has 0 AoE. So Shadow is kind of forced to just VT everything. VT, that's your gameplay now. So, but I'm still very happy. The Psychic Link makes the class and the spec feels much more fluid in my head, because now your goal is very simple. I mean, it's the same as before, but it like makes more sense now. You just Vampiric Touch everyone, and then you spawn as many apparitions as possible, because apparitions are actually a big focus point of this patch. Look at the Force bonus. Devouring Plague damage increased by 15%, very juicy already. And then every 4 casts of Devouring Plague increases the damage of shadowy apparitions by 80% for 10 seconds. I don't know if you realize that, but we also have a talent here that increases our apparition damage by 150% on target with Devouring Plague, and another 15% here. So apparitions, a spell that does what? Where is it? 0. Why does it say 0 damage? Trust me, I tested it. We could test it right now. Apparitions with all of these amps. Oh, this is perfect. I have 3 stacks. Take a look at this, okay? And I'm just trying to get a couple of apparitions here, you know, not a big deal. You know, I'm not hitting multiple things. Apparitions could obviously hit everyone, and it's like spread damage, but let's just stop there. Let's see how much damage an apparition does. So Mind Blast, okay, Mind Blast does 60k crit. That's a fat one. That's with Insidious Ire, obviously, like all the amps in the game. 60k crit Mind Blast, that's pretty fat. Void Bolt, 114. Yo, this trinket set bonus is cooked. We're gonna see some crazy numbers soon. But by comparison, look at Apparition. 51,000 damage. They need to increase HP pool even more. This is not enough. Okay, Now, since we're all on the same level of copium here and hopium, Shadow is looking great, right? Well, let's take a step back and take a look at what Shadow actually looks like in a PvP. I actually got the chance to play against the devs a couple of days ago. They had this Q solo shuffle against devs event on the PTR, and the queues were pretty fast, only half an hour, so I got to play like 2 or 3 games. And let me tell you, Shadow Priest sucks. It's not good. And the big problem is complete lack of instant casts. Instant casts for Shadow are a thing of the past, ladies and gentlemen. Void Origins is gone, so you have to hard cast Void Eruption or Dark Ascension. Mind Spike procs are gone, so that's out of the question. And we also lose Damnation, which is very nasty. We have to hard cast VT. However, we did get a little bump in Shadow Crash here. Shadow Crash is 20-second cooldown now, so it does help a little bit. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is what do you do in between. Shadow's biggest damage right now, it feels like, is Mind Flay. And if you can sit in the back and suck people dry, Mind Flay is very strong and Shadow looks amazing. But let's be real. Shadow has no mobility, has only 1 school of magic really for damage, and has to hardcast Mind Flay to do damage. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the best casters right now are cast classes that either don't cast or have a bunch of schools of magic, usually both of those. So you have Ellie Shaman, Frost Mage, Demo Warlock. Well, Demo Warlocks, they lose their instant Dreadstalkers, so welcome to the club. But Shadow has no mobility, 1 school of magic, and has to hardcast probably the most. Very sus. Is not a good experience. I think there's an easy fix for that. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I saw it somewhere else. First of all, I think it's 2023. Void Eruption, Dark Ascension being a cast makes 0 sense, especially Dark Ascension. But I think if you make Dark Ascension instant, you should probably make Void Eruption too. Void Eruption, you could kind of say that it does a little bit of damage at the end of the cast, so yeah, it's a cast. But Dark Ascension, you literally have to hard cast it and it does nothing. Right now, in order for you to actually get your damage out with Dark Ascension, you have to, probably you're playing Mindbender, you have to press Mindbender, press hard cast Dark Ascension, and then start hard casting Mind Games and Mind Blast. Like that's 4.5 seconds before you actually see a damaging number. That feels terrible in PvE and PvP. And in PvE, as far as I know, a big complaint is kind of the same. Complete lack of instant casts. Shadow has to plant down and spam juice Mind Flay and Mind Spikes, I believe, in PvE. There's no reason why these 2 spells should not be instant. It's not a big deal in PvE, and in PvP, Shadow is already struggling, getting trained all day long. We don't have a port, we don't have a blink, we don't have anything. At least this, I think. Also, this node here, I feel like it's a very integral and very important to the playstyle. I feel like the whole kit is kind of gonna be balanced around Surge of Mind Flay Insanity and Mind Spike Insanity, because a lot of times you are gonna just do big bursts with Devouring Plague into one of these, Devouring Plague into one of these in PvE. Now in PvP, good luck getting Mind Flays out, when you're bursting and hard casting Mind Spike Insanity. It feels really, really clunky. I feel like, and I didn't, this is not my original idea, but I stole it from someone. Make Mind Flay Insanity castable while moving. It's probably still gonna suck, but it's gonna be a little bit better in PvP. And make Mind Spike Insanity instant cast. I think if Mind Spike Insanity is instant cast and these 2 become instant cast as well, the spec is going to be perfect. So fun to play, in PvP at least, because it's going to flow so much better. Whenever you can stack up like a big chunk, a big bar of Insanity. Insanity goes up to 150 now, so you can actually stack up 3 Devouring Plagues. And imagine how well it would flow, You kind of struggle through all the kicks, getting Vampiric Touches out. But then when you actually get everything out and you have a big bar, you can, insta pop your whatever you play here, and then Devouring Plague, Mind Spike, Devouring Plague, Mind Spike. Like, it creates windows where you can actually play the game and you don't just get bullied all the time. Another problem we have here is Shadow Word Death. Shadow Word Death does no damage. The amped up Shadow Word Death, so when you're actually executing people, hits for like 30k. What do you mean 30k? My Apparition hits for 50k. This is very sus how it does so little damage. Look, on the tooltip it says 9k damage. Huh? Even Mind Blast puts it to shame. Mind Blast actually does more damage than a different spell in the game. I can't believe it. The kind of overall take here is damage for Shadow seems really, really low, except for hard casted damage. So once again, Void Torrent, a server's about to go down here. Void Torrent, big damage. Mind Flay Insanity, big damage. Everything else, very, very low damage. Mind Blast does nothing. Apparitions can do big damage only when you have your Force-It bonus up and when you have Devouring Plagues. There's also this note here, which a lot of people say Distorted Reality doesn't make sense, but I think Distorted Reality is actually insanely strong in PvP if you're fighting classes that cannot dispel diseases. And that takes me to the next point. Dispel protection for Shadow is a little bit old now. It's like 15 years old. I feel like Shadow needs a little bit better dispel protection, especially for Devouring Plague. At least, we're gonna get DC'd in a second now, at least for Devouring Plague in form of a PvP talent. Let me mention PvP talents real quick. So we have a little Greater Fate here that only lasts for 1 second, and we have this, Absolute Fate. It pulls everyone basically within 40 yards, and it gives everyone a fat shield. I think both of these are a kind of hit and miss. I feel like the Fade one is very situational. You know, it's good to, I'll probably take it into some comps. It's good to immune, you know, like a Chaos Bolt or CC or a Kidney Shot or make some plays, but it's not obviously not going to be good into every single matchup. But the Grip one is really weird because it feels both very good and very bad. Gripping your whole team on top of you is not something you generally want to do, usually. It's very niche, I think. I imagine I'm going to be the one needing it, and in order for me to save myself, I need to grip my healer over to me, and it gives both of us a shield. But then it also, you know, as a consequence, it also grips my rogue that's over there, kidney shotting, you know, their healer, and it just grips everyone on top of me, and I'm like, I'm sorry guys, listen, I had to press it. But then my shaman presses Link anyway, and we overlap and we die anyway. Yeah, it's kind of a weird spell. I feel like I'm gonna have to tell my teammates to line of sight it. I'm about to grip, guys, run! I have a note here about Mind Trauma. Mind Trauma, very interesting PvP talent. Kind of a cuck move, but it doesn't work with Mind Spike. So if Mind Spike replaces Mind Flay, shouldn't Mind Spike also affect Mind Trauma? Because then if you have Mind Trauma but you have Mind Spike, it just doesn't do anything, which is kind of weird. I think it's an oversight. I don't know. But that's pretty much it. As a closing statement to my little TED talk here, even if they don't implement any other changes anymore, like you know, Void Form being instant or Dark Ascension being instant, which I'm 100% sure should be the case, even in PvE. Even if they don't implement anything, I'm still happy they did the rework, and I wish they did more reworks for more specs more often, because it keeps the game more fresh, more enjoyable in my opinion, and maybe that's why I didn't completely burned out, because Shadow Priest feels like they're getting a rework every other expansion, or every other patch I should say. So you know, I'm happy to try something a little bit different. I'm excited, and I'm a little traumatized, I'm a little scared, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.